Good evening. We got a full crew tonight. Welcome, everybody.
Yes, we do.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Anthony, you were just saying you've got 3 games the end of the month and a little vacation.
Yeah, not really, but yeah. There's a lot of events and stuff going on, but it's nice. We have 3 games next weekend, and then we're home the end of the month, and that's it for July.
Sounds like a mini vacation.
I wish.
What is it that you do when the team's away?
Nothing. Snooze.
Mm-hmm. I
Snooze.
think that's what a lot of people think you do.
Definitely. Uh-huh.
Hey, talking about baseball town, and I see where you guys have the best attendance for AA minor league baseball. Is that still holding pat?
I imagine so. We're not going to be home for quite a few days, so someone might go past us. But, yeah, we're hanging in there. It's great. See things sort of, back to normal and people coming out like it was. Not that we were nervous, but the last year or so, you didn't know if, like, hey, did we do something wrong? Is there something going on? And now you see people coming out like they were before. So it's nice to see that, it wasn't really us. It was just sort of the world that we were in. But it's good. It's good.
So on a given night, because you guys are always running promotions, how do you prepare? I mean, like, do you have any idea? 5,000, 6,000, 7,000? Yeah. Do you have any idea?
They have notes like 30 years worth of. It's fascinating. It's like 30 years worth of what historically a certain night will do. No matter what you throw at it, what it tends to do based on people's vacation habits, based on can you get more if you do a certain town night, based on where the town's coming from, what time the people will arrive. There's a lot that goes in each one. If you're having a fireworks night on a Thursday or Friday, and people are in the Chamber of Commerce happens to be, let's say, the Penn Suburban Chamber, which is like Souderton, which is probably the max distance we would have from a chamber, and that's about an hour and 15 minutes away. So you have to expect those people not to be there at 5 or even 6. Those people are going to be there 7 o'clock or later. Now, it doesn't mean your attendance is going to be less. Your attendance is going to be more for the day, but they're just traveling from a further distance. So you have that times 70 games times a million different situations. And with all that, you can kind of figure out who's coming and what you need to do to get you from 5,000 to 8,000 or 9,000.
Right. Yeah,
it's stadium analytics.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot of work. I think people think we just open the gates and we go. It's a lot of preparation, getting ready for it.
Well, that's how you guys also base your staffing as well, like how many concessions people they'll bring in. So sometimes if there's a bigger crowd than anticipated, there might not be enough staff to support that.
Yeah, we always get through it and figure it out, but there might be like us having to help out or someone having to jump in or, maybe the line's a little longer than you'd like. But, that a lot of that, generally we have a general idea how many people are going to come within 1,000 or 2,000 range beforehand. If you get a really nice weather day, leading up to like a big holiday or something, then you could be surprised by the amount of people coming in. I think not this homestand, but somewhere in that 2-week homestand we had a lot of, a lot more people than we had thought, than we had predicted, because a lot of people, the weather was so nice. We had no rain for 2 weeks. There was a huge walk up. So, every night was like 2,000-3,000 more people than we thought, which is great. But then we're trying to run around and make sure we have enough concessions workers and stuff like that. So it's all good, but it's a lot of preparation.
Sure. And this past weekend, being a holiday weekend, did you see an influx in attendance?
Thursday and Friday were better than expected as far as attendance goes. Saturday was good. Sunday with the rain was tough. We were there at 9 o'clock in the morning putting the tarp on, and we had taken it on and put it on and off 8 times during the day.
Wow.
And then so that really hugely affected us Sunday. And then Monday, we took the tarp off in the morning, and it never really rained in Reading, but we probably were down about 2,000 people because it said it was going to rain. So it was pretty full. The left field general admission probably could have used a couple hundred more people, and there's still 7,000 people there or 7,500 people, but that's the difference between 7,500 people and 9,000 people is your app saying that it's going to rain when it never does.
Sure.
But no, it was good. It was very good weekend. Can't complain. I wish the rain was like that earlier in the week, but I can't really complain with what we had.
Good. No, the reason I'm picking your brain, about, minor league baseball and the AA baseball for our Philadelphia Phillies. I mean, it goes back a long time. I mean, you guys have a Wall of Fame where you bring in guys every year, and you do a lot of things, that help promote families to be able to get there because it's more affordable.
Yeah.
Versus going to Citizens Bank where, it's now $25 to park.
Yeah. I mean, our numbers have always been good from the Philadelphia suburb, but if we were to look at it over the last year and a half, 2 years, those numbers have gone up dramatically. I would say you have, if you're a family, I'll take it even a little bit closer. Say you're a family. I always tell people in like Collegeville or Phoenixville, it's the same 35-minute distance, let's say, from here or to go to Philadelphia, but you're going to spend a lot less money.
Sure.
If your kids aren't, diehard baseball fans, first off, I mean, there's not as much stuff for them to do in Philadelphia as there is here. It kind of gets boring unless you're an actual full, huge baseball fan. But we've been seeing numbers of people from the main line into Philadelphia coming down more and more after the last couple of years. They would rather spend the gas and have a fun night out and have a more interactive experience than going down there and sitting in traffic and dealing with all that stuff. So yeah, it's great. The numbers from like the Harrisburg area are big, because those are still Phillies fans. The numbers from Schuylkill County and the Cole region are big. So it's good. I mean, it's good to be within like an hour from everybody.
Sure. It's funny because, Carl's Cards has been advertising for, sponsoring for a number of years now. And this year, it just seems like I've got more people asking for tickets, asking about tickets,
yeah,
when we're going to be there, that kind of thing. So I definitely think, and I know we talked about it all during, the off season about trying to get the younger generation more involved in baseball and whatnot. And it just seems like in general, I mean, this is my impression. I think baseball's back. I think it's doing well, in most cities. John, maybe you can, shed some light on this, because I know back in the day, you used to, you were out in Reading quite a bit. You were in Trenton quite a bit. You used to follow the Reading Phils, all over the place. What's your opinion of where baseball is, today? Not just in the minors. I mean, we see it because, we've got Lauren and Anthony, who are there for all the home games and keeping us up to date, and Anthony giving us updates on, the new edition. But I mean, what are your thoughts on minor league baseball and heading, into a lot of these players, that have potential to become Phillies?
Yeah, I think it's definitely growing. I think a lot of it, maybe like you're thinking, Anthony, is because they went to the playoffs and they were in the World Series last year. So the parents, the kids are asking to go to the baseball more often, and and like you said, it's more affordable to go to a Reading game where you can be interactive with the players of the future for the Phillies versus being able to, you could probably go to what, 9 games, for the Phillies, for the Reading Phillies versus, a Phillies game with the family of 4. So I mean, that's a lot more baseball that you can go see. And yeah, you might still go to a Phillies game once in a while, but it's, just look at Sunday. You had, autograph the kids day, with the kids, interacting with the players. I mean, that's huge, for interacting with kids, getting the new generation, liking baseball again. So yeah, I think it's definitely a rise is coming up, and basically because the new team is, or the big league team is doing well.
Yeah, it's
with
definitely
World
a
Series.
trickle. It's definitely a trickle down, right?
Right. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. You get more, more kids in the area are proud to be Phillies fans now because they were just in the World Series where they weren't used to seeing that.
Sure.
So it makes it more enjoyable to talk about the Phillies, as a good team versus
And you've got probably, I don't know, I'll pick a number, 4, 5, 6 players on the current, our Phil's team that potentially could be big leaguers. I mean,
right.
does that add up?
Yeah, absolutely. That's huge.
I mean, I think the average family, I don't know what it is. We haven't done it in a couple of years, but the last I looked, the average family, I think it used to be at like $48. The average family of forward spend. So let's say it's between $40 and $60. I mean, there's nowhere that you can go, and that include, that's considering the cost of the ticket, food, drink. You're going to get entertainment. You're going to get a bobblehead or a T-shirt or a fireworks or something like that. There's pregame music. There's postgame music. There's nowhere that you can go and spend that much money, and including the movies. You go to a IMAX or something, it's over $100. So you go to dinner for two, it's $100. So there's nowhere you're going to be able to spend that. And I think that even if people aren't even huge baseball fans, they're looking for something to do. Yeah, it definitely helps that the Phillies are doing better for the people that like baseball. But if you don't really care, it's still cheaper than doing anything else. And I think that's where our sort of niches, if you can get people to come out, for something to do, hopefully by the end of it, they get interested in baseball in the background. But that's not really what I'm worried about because I can't do, anything out there. I get worried about all the other stuff to try to get people to come. So it seems to be paying off. It's definitely a lot of work, but it's worth it. And there's a lot of, good baseball. We're lucky where we live in this country, like on the East Coast here, a lot of minor league. There's a lot of independent league teams, things like that.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Well, I just, I always, I know it's hit or miss whether we're going to have you on the show or not, but you always have really good input, about baseball town, and it is so close, from Lancaster, coming towards Reading or Philly going out to Reading. And it just seems like the more I'm out there, the more people that I see, and I'm like, wait, he lives, in Delco, you know what I mean? And it just seems like, people are they're more interested, which, it's a good thing, whether they got young kids or, they're just looking for some inexpensive entertainment and, as Shawnee, likes to say, the Phillies of tomorrow, it's the home of the future Phillies. Plus, you occasionally get guys from the current squad to go out there on rehab assignments. That certainly helps out as well. Lauren, I know Humane sponsors a great deal. How do you guys kind of put the animals and baseball together?
So we have a tougher time bringing animals out to the stadium only because they're only permitted there during the Bark in the Park games, which is a few Sundays throughout the season. And our shelter is already closed by the time the game happens. So if we have a special case or we have an animal that we really think would do well and can get adopted from coming there, we'll make the exception to bring them. But otherwise, we have a spin wheel on our table, which is super engaging for folks. People just, I think, love to spin a wheel regardless of the prize that they win, especially kids. So that's a big hit for our table at the Fiesta Friday setups that we have and the Bark in the Park setups. But then we also go ahead and purchase a Bryce Harper autograph baseball, and we use that as a raffle item. So by the end of the season, we sell $1 tickets all throughout the season, and by the time the last game that we're present for is when we draw the winner. So let's say we buy this baseball for $400, whatever it might be. By the time the season's over, we've probably made about $1,200 in raffle ticket sales. So that more than covers the baseball. It draws people over because it's a huge name.
Sure.
And for $1, you have a chance of winning it. And if you don't win, you're still just making $1 donation to our organization. So we just try to have a very engaging table. 9 times out of 10, there's always a line. People love, like I said, to spin a wheel, and we don't limit it to just kids. So much like the Fightins, they do run the bases on Sundays after each game. They open it up to all fans. A lot of places just do kids, but they allow all fans to do it. And in our case, we allow anybody to spin the wheel, because if I'm giving you a free event t-shirt from our walk last year, or I'm giving you promotional sunglasses, giving those items away puts t-shirts on backs and gets our brand out there to people. There'll be times throughout the season I'll see people with our t-shirt on that I know they won on the spin wheel. And that's inventory that probably would have just sat there for a long time. So why not bring it and let people wear it? It was really great when we used to have our walk at the stadium, because our characters would be dressed as baseball players. So people really love that stuff too. So we just do it by having an engaging table, basically, which really pays off with people coming over.
Awesome. Anthony, anything else? Give us a quick update on the building, because I'll tell you, I saw it Monday night, and I, with the Retner's light on, at night, it really gives it a really cool look.
Yeah, I mean, as far as I know, everything is still on track for April. I'm hoping everything's good by April. They're there every day working, and then I'm imagining in the fall, maybe like October, November, is when we could sort of walk through our clients or potential clients through there, so they can have an idea what it'll look like. Right now, it's just a little too dangerous. There's not proper steps in proper places and things like that. But by the fall, everything, even though it won't be painted and all that, you have a general idea what the room will look like and how big the area will be. And then we can start booking, events and things like that next year, which is exciting. So for game days or non-game days, every day of the year, it could be used for up to 550 to 600 people. They're starting in the next couple weeks to sort of build the driveway and entrance for the outside entry. So obviously, when you're in the stadium, you can come through the normal way, by like the pool area, but there's going to be an outside entrance on Route 61 with a parking lot. So if you're dropping someone off for a wedding, there'll be like a little U-shaped driveway you can drop them off. So they're going to start that. And then a lot of those people that have events with us currently are going to want to try to either see if they're going to keep it sort of outside, or if they wanted to move it inside, because it's sort of a different experience. But theoretically, you could have events, all year round, which is super, super exciting. So as far as I know, everything's on track. They're working every day out there. Last week they put up the final bricks on the outside of the building. So at this point, it's just all the interior stuff that they're finalizing.
Now, will there be events where, in-game type thing where they can, visually watch, through the windows?
Yeah, I mean, we'll have events during the games as well. If it sort of worked out in a different way, people say, well, why don't you make it like there's seating for every game? Well, it was originally supposed to be sort of a mixed use for a batting tunnel when the team wasn't there, and the Phillies decided, hey, we want to have our own batting tunnel so you guys can just have that space. Well, at that point, we've already finalized things with the city, the county, the state, everyone else. So it sort of is what it is. So yeah, you're going to be able, there's a veranda there that you can walk out on. Probably half of 200 to 300 of the 500 people could go out on that if they wanted to. But just like a picnic area, where you have 300 people, not everyone's watching the game at all moments of the game. So the inside is going to look like a nicer version of a high-end sports bar, and there's going to be televisions and things like that in there. So yeah, it's going to be cool. You're not going to have to book all 600 people for that event. I'm sure the people with 300 plus people will have the preference, but you can break it down between 100 people for 5 different groups on a game day, and sort of have it partitioned off like you would a hotel banquet room. So it's very exciting, the idea to be able to have not only weddings, but expos. We don't have an expo center here in Reading anymore. A lot of that business moved to Oaks or Philadelphia or Harrisburg or whatever. And we're going to be, more affordable than other venues. So I think it's going to be used all the time. I think it's going to be used year round.
So if somebody was getting married, like their ceremony was like 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, but wanted to have their reception during the summer at a home game, they could do that in that building.
Mm-hmm. You could have you could have it during a game and not care about the game at all. You can have a wedding and not care a darn about the game. You just want it in the background, or you can care about the game and have something in the plaza and then move it over to the bank. I mean, there's literally anything you want to do, we can do now, just because we have something that's climate controlled, which is a game changer. I mean, we had weddings before. We've had quite a few. You just really risk the weather. And if it rains and if it's like a downpour, then our older batting tunnel that we currently have is not the nicest for photos. It's been done. Luckily, 9 times out of 10, the weather cooperates. But when you're spending that kind of money, you want to make sure that you don't have to worry about that. So I think we're gonna book a lot more of those.
Nice.
So is there another building coming?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay. You said they wanted their own batting tunnels.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, they're going to get their own batting tunnels. I thought you meant like a full new structure.
And that's going to be underneath, right?
Well, as soon as this year ends, we're going to get a new video board, same size. We're just going to get a sort of an more up to date current video board.
One that people can come and service.
One that people can service. We don't have to drive to New York City to fix it.
Right.
And that's going to sort of be up a little higher from what I'm understanding, sort of like Citizens Bank. It's going to be up in the air a little bit more. And that'll sort of alleviate the middle area that we currently have, which has a video board and a pub. And that's where the batting tunnels and the bullpens are going to be going forward. That's the plan, once our season ends, to get that going. So the bullpens will no longer be on the field itself. They'll sort of have their own area and they can walk back and forth through there. And that'll theoretically expand the current building, not a new structure, but it'll be part of the new building. So, if it's a ceremony, you could have a ceremony upstairs. You go down the elevator, go down the stairs into the batting tunnel or the locker rooms for the cocktail party, and then they transform that room back to a party area. Half hour later, like a lot of weddings are now. So it's going to be really, really neat. You're going to be able to take photos in the locker rooms, and for weddings, we're going to have those kind of on wheels, I believe, so that if you need to, not everyone's going to want all the lockers there at all times, so you're not going to necessarily have that. But you might want to have 1 or 2 in there to take photos with the locker. So it's going to be neat. It's going to be really cool once it's finished.
Awesome. Yeah. Very cool. Very cool. Let's move on and talk some Phillies baseball. They're, I guess, John, would you say they're back in it? They're right there in a wild card spot as we speak.
As of right now, they're the third wild card, so they're in playoff contention right now. They got their playoff spot locked up as of right now today if it ended. So we just continue to grow from here, and it'll be nice to see. We it took a little while, but they won 10 now straight on the road, going for our 11th win tonight against Tampa, which you have in the background there. So. With Taiwan Walker on the mound. So, it's going to be, good to see. Let's keep building this on and head into the All-Star break and get going.
I want to ask you guys. You guys have all been around baseball, long enough and witnessed a lot of minor league baseball and spring training baseball. And, we see it with the Phillies where, they had a phenomenal June, right? They played really good baseball in June. Yeah. April, May, not so much. Are we putting too much into the fact that they don't push these guys in spring training, and it takes that much longer for them to get going?
I think it has a lot to do with it. We knew Wheeler and Nola weren't pushed at all, during spring training.
Well, it appears none of them are pushed.
Well, yeah, none of them. But I'm saying, that's just the way they do it now, and You know,
everything is maintenance free, and
right.
maintenance days, and maintenance management, and it just seems like there's an awful lot of emphasis put on not the overload anymore.
Well, it's a total. You got to understand, and I see this every day just in the minor leagues. It's there's no more days of like the movie Bull Durham where you're on a rackety bus falling apart. They don't. I mean, that was not that long ago that some teams acted like that, but they consider these guys an investment now. So you're not going to see that anymore. They're not going to kill someone in spring training. It's just never going to happen because they cost a lot of money, and so they are going to be very delicate, for lack of better words, with those guys. Now, that's different than a lot of people in Philadelphia and other places want to accept, but that's sort of a league-wide thing now. And they're not they're not different than any other team. That's just is how it is. You're not going to see anyone. You're going to see maybe some individual players, some older guys or younger guys that try a little bit harder. They got to make a spot, but the guys that have a secure spot, I think those days are gone. I mean, it's just not. Unless the guy does it individually on their own, they're not going to push them, because if they push them and they get hurt, he's going to say, "You pushed me, I got hurt." I mean, that's just the world we live in today. So
yeah,
but it's not just the Phillies. Everybody, we were a bunch of other spring training facilities. It's the same, everywhere. Not that they're lackadaisical, but they understand that those games aren't as important as.
They're meaningless. They're just going through motions and that sort of thing. It's just
they're all playing for October. So I mean, you got to be healthy in October. It doesn't, April and May doesn't matter as much. You get hot, you start playing in June, carry into the All-Star break, and see where you're at that point. And
I mean, I honestly think that spring training is just a moneymaker now. There's not really much else to it other than these teams know they can capitalize on people, especially if your team is up north where it's cold. People taking this opportunity and making it into a vacation. And I mean, you can see it. I couldn't tell you whether they won or lost the games of the spring training ones we went to. I have no idea if they won or they lost.
Right.
Just in the warmth, I'm having a beer, I'm with friends, family. It doesn't really matter to me. I don't know who's out there playing, what the lineup is. I don't really care who the lineup is. So I think part of it is just they know that it's a moneymaker regardless of the product that's out on the field. So they kind of just take advantage of that. I mean, even Anthony and I, we'll go over to the complexes. I know you do that, Dad, too. And, you used to see like the bigger names out there on those fields practicing and stuff. You don't see that anymore. I mean, we go to the Pirates one, and
no one the last 2-3 years has been not a person that I knew.
And no disrespect, but the Pirates have very few sort of big names in the first place. So we're there only looking for maybe 2 or 3 guys, and you never see them. We didn't see Andrew McCutchen out on those practice fields once.
A few years ago we did. It's not that long ago. We saw.
But I think COVID has changed.
Yeah.
Everything.
They might be there. Maybe they're inside. You know what I mean? They just don't want to deal with it. I don't know. But what, like Lauren's saying about spring training, though, that's the reason we were talking about minor league baseball. She's like, people aren't necessarily interested in this. 90% of the people that come to our games aren't interested in the score or who's on our team. Or
it's a social.
We could lose 70. Not that we want to. Obviously, it's development for the Phillies. But if we lost 70 games, it's not going to affect our attendance whatsoever because they're not there for that. And that's sort of what spring training is now. Now, I'm sure for those guys, it's also a nice check. It's obviously needed because you got to check in. You got to be down there, talk to the doctors, whatever. But they're not killing themselves like they used to.
Yeah. It's definitely the new norm, I guess you want to call it. And I know the Phillies just purchased a big parcel of property there on the backside of the stadium that they're going to develop into housing and a mini type mall with shopping and whatnot over there where Buffalo Wild Wings used to be.
Okay.
That's still there, that structure? Or are they going to knock that sort of plaza down?
They're demoing the whole thing. They bought it all, and they're supposed to be, building this enormous shopping, district, with condos, for players, and they're heavily dedicated to this, to this Clearwater area. Much like I think Dunedin just went through it, with a big renovation thing over there for the Blue Jays.
Yeah.
They were down for, I believe it was better part of 2 seasons, because they played all their games on the road. But it's like Lauren said, it's a great time, especially if you're up north, to get out of the cold, go down for, even if it's just a long weekend or a week, whatever you can afford. And it just seems to be like a good time.
Yeah.
You're able to go down on the beach. Clearwater is one of the top, I don't know, top 2 or 3 beaches in all of the country or something.
Yeah,
I hear year in and year out. So, there's a lot going on. And, like John said last year, excuse me, we go to the World Series, and, hopefully we're making another run this year. And I want to just touch base with you guys a little bit, because we're talking minor league baseball. We're talking prospects that are in AA, and a lot of decent names that are in AAA, that are probably holding back some of the guys that are in AA right now, because there's nowhere to go, right? John, you can jump in at any time. The majors only have so many moves that they can make, right?
Right. Oh yeah.
You've got this log jam at AAA with guys that are having good seasons. Simone Muzziotti.
Yeah.
Right? He's having it. He's batting almost 400.
Yeah. Right there as well.
They're going to have to figure out what they're doing. If these guys are doing well, if they're ready to win now, you're going to have to start moving some of these guys, or figuring out some packages very soon. Yeah, there's no room. Carlos De La Cruz, I don't know how many total games it ended up being that he had hits, so over 30 games, whatever it was. He's got nowhere to go. You don't want a lot of these guys to go, but if you need to win now, you either need to put them in some type of package deal or let them play. You see those guys like that, and they let them stay in AA because you're going to get to play every day. If you're not going to do that in AAA, and that's the whole point. But I just don't know, what that plan is with some of those guys. You're going to have to sort of do a package deal.
Well, we've been talking about it for a little while now. Like AAA now is just the feeder for the major leagues, as far as they're almost major league players ready to go in a good organization. So like your 26 man really is like a 40-man, 50-man roster that you need to have available. And so I think things are changing where you might see AA being like the top level for prospects, really. That more guys will go from AA to the majors if need be for the prospect end. But like AAA is going to be more for the veterans that are just ready to fill in when needed if you need to have a spot start here or there because of injuries type of thing. Because just the way that the teams are, they're holding them back a little bit as far as waiting for September. Well,
when is the trading deadline? Is that August still?
I thought it was still right at the end of July. I thought.
Okay.
I think last year they moved it to the August 4th or something like that because of they got started late last year. So I believe it's still the end of July this year.
Yeah, these next couple of weeks are usually the time where teams are figuring it out. If you're one of those 500 teams, you don't really know what to do. If you win 2 weeks, you're going to be buying. If you lose, you're going to sell. So over the next 2 weeks, you're really going to see what's available out there for the Phillies. And, also, in a perfect world, a lot of the fans would love for these guys for AAA or AA to actually come up and stay with the team. Those are the guys you root for more. But also, it's a different team than a lot of other teams. They are really set to win right now.
Right.
So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, no, it's true.
Yeah, it's as much as I bitch, moan, and complain about these bullpen games, I saw yesterday up in Lehigh Valley that Connor Brogdon was the starter. Um, in one of them god awful bullpen games, but they seem to be the new norm, right? They
Yeah.
seem to be and I thought it was just the Phillies,
No.
but it's all over Major League Baseball.
Yeah.
No, they don't want to. I mean, in the next, I would say 5 years or so, each team maybe have one or two full-time starters. I mean, it's just a different. They don't want to spend $30 million on a pitcher that if you throw 99 miles an hour and then your arm's thrown out, then there goes $30 million.
Right.
You'd rather, if everyone's throwing 99 miles now, have a bunch of guys and replace them if needed. So.
Well, yeah, I think that's exactly like you said. I mean, it's you have the bullpen guys there already on your roster, so why spend another, like Zach Eflin, for instance. We had the option to pick him up for $14-15 million, and they didn't do it because they have these guys that they could do in the bullpen or whatever. So they can save $15 million, then that's what they're going to do, and it's just you see it all around. I mean, the Dodgers when they were in town here, they had two of them in the 3-game series against us. So it's just it's not just the Phillies. It's everywhere. It's not good teams, bad teams. It's all the teams.
Well, I think we saw a good dose of that last year during the playoffs in the World Series, where Ranger, Suarez was bounced. He was a relief pitcher one day and a starter the next.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
And those guys are, those guys are going to be in the next 2-3 years. Guys are going to be used to that. You'll be from single A, college, whatever, all the way on up through. That's all they're going to know. So they're going to be ready to pitch, starting a game or coming in the game late, and that's just the way it's going. So a lot of the people that are used to old school mentality, they got to be open to changing it, because a lot of it's going to change whether you like it or not. Like we were talking to Jamie Moyer, he's like, I probably wouldn't even be a guy that's necessarily in the league anymore. He's throwing 68 miles an hour towards the end of his career. These guys are all throwing 99 miles an hour. I mean, that's a huge difference.
Yeah,
it's just a different game in the last 5 years.
Oh yeah, definitely is. And it's going to change a lot, and it affects the way teams build teams, and it's just it's interesting. As a person that saw it from the way it was before to now, it's just like you just have that one extra pitch. It's just like, just give me that one extra starter that can go 6-7 innings. And you're a lot different, but they just don't like to see batter. It's all the analytics where the batters don't get to see the same pitcher more than once in a game. That it confuses them. That you're playing the odds that you're going to do better that day because of that. Versus
John, were you shocked yesterday that Nola got to go back out there in the 8th inning?
A little bit, but because I don't think so. Only because of the shutout factor, and he had like 90 pitches,
Right.
going into it. So, I think if he gave up a run before, it was a 3-1 game going into that 8th inning, I don't know that he goes out there to pitch the 8th inning, giving up a run, but just because of, the rarity of a complete game shutout, that he may have, if he got out of that inning with 10 pitches, maybe he gets out there again for the 9th.
Sure.
And stretches it a little bit, especially with the All-Star break coming up here, that he can rest it a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it doesn't happen often, to see,
Well, it was just ironic, that Eflin goes against Nola yesterday, and it was just feels like just a few years ago they were all just down in Reading, right? They had the baby aces, in Reading, right? Help me out. Who were the other guys? Was it Jesse Biddle?
Biddle was one of them. Eflin, Nola.
There was the guy Tom Windle. He didn't make it.
Yeah,
Tom Windle. Yeah.
May. Is it not Derek May? Something May. Trevor May.
Trevor May. Yeah.
Yeah, they were. like anything else, two of those guys came through and the other five didn't. But but it was cool. I mean, it was cool to have that. And
Yep.
yeah, but you look at that. It was probably
18, right?
7-8 years now at this
Yep.
point.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting. The more the game yesterday really had a nice little, appeal to it, and I didn't realize the friendship that Eflin and Nola had.
Oh yeah,
They talked a whole lot about it, and they gave each other their jerseys after the game, and it just brought a whole different light to it is just a baseball game.
Yeah. Yeah, and Eflin was a class act after the game,
Yep.
talking about it and how much
Yep.
he still is rooting for the Phillies, and like I said, I think he still should be here. He was always a class act, and he when he was healthy, he pitched well.
Yep.
He just unfortunately with the Phillies, he wasn't able to stay healthy enough for us to see that. But he was quality human being and just a good pitcher when thrown out there.
Lauren, do you remember the game we were all at? It was his first major league start, and all his buddies were in the player section. I believe we had seats in the Hamill section, and it was his first major league start, and all his buddies were there rooting him on.
What year was that? Like 2014?
It's gone back a few years.
Okay.
Yeah, it's gone back a few years.
I don't remember that. I believe you, but yeah, I don't remember that. I mean, the Hamels tickets were always right in that Diamond Club, and then the player families are always that section right
Yep.
above that. So
Yep.
I believe that.
Yeah. It's you talk about homegrown, right? There's one of your own that you let get away, and he was 9-3 going into yesterday's game, and they were both having a good game. Two young guys, Stott and Bohm, got around. Harper had a decent day. He had a couple hits.
Yeah.
Zach got his ring before the game yesterday from Rob Thompson.
Okay.
Yeah, got his 2022 NL champ ring.
Yeah, he was the big cigar guy, I think, if I remember correctly. He was the guy who supplied all the cigars.
He supplied them, yeah.
But it's good to see him, doing well. Hopefully, we'll have a rematch, or they'll have a rematch of the 2008 World Series.
Yeah.
That would be interesting for sure. Baseball's interesting. The new age of the game has, and we've talked about it. I think we talk about it all the time, how it's changed.
So let me ask a quick question. I think I know the answer, but I'm just going to ask it. Do you think people are going to, in Philadelphia, just a general statement, are going to relax a little bit now that the Phillies are here? Or as soon as they lose like 5 games in a row, they're going to say that they stink again? Because, they struggled early on, and they're doing exactly what they did last year to get right back in it. And they could, make the playoffs, whatever. But you think people are going to relax now that they
No, there's no relaxing, because I'll just take you back a couple days, and I know you don't have time to follow all the games, but they won 19-4, 19-5, whatever it was, and they came back the next night, and they couldn't do anything.
Yeah,
they
lost about 3 to the Nationals.
You immediately fall back into that. You're frustrated. Even yesterday, how many double plays did they run into? This team was built on hitting home runs. I mean, you go up and down this lineup. Trey Turner, he's scuffling really bad. He had a phenomenal, World Classic. You know,
Yeah.
look at Nick Castellanos. He had a horrible year last year. He flipped the switch. He's an all-star this year. I mean,
Yeah, but you're answering your own. That happens. It's baseball. It happens.
Right. Oh, yeah.
You get hot at the right time in the playoffs. Who cares about everything else? You know what I mean?
All right, so I'm going to ask you a question. What happens when all of these guys get hot at the same time?
Then it's good. They're
Then
gonna.
hopefully we win
Then
the World Series.
they're gonna. Well, hopefully it's it's not April or May. Like hopefully it's September, October, and then they're winning 30-5. I mean that's what it's supposed to be. But it's just like when you put together these football teams are like, oh my God, this team's going to win every game, and you look at them and they're like 8-8. You never know what's going to happen. But I just think I wonder if people, now that they're actually doing well, if they have a 5-game losing streak, are people going to jump off the bridge? Because that can happen. It's baseball. It's a very, very long season.
And that bridge is in your back pocket because it can happen. It could happen at any time. You know what I mean? It's there. It's there. It's just frustrating because I think as fans, you see all this money that's being spent on these players, and not just in Philadelphia. I mean, how would you like to be a Mets fan? How would you like to be a Padres fan? You know what I mean? I mean, these teams, have $300 million payrolls, and they're closer to last place than they are first place.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, that's why the Mets owner, when they asked him about it, he called out the players himself, which I'm not saying you should or you shouldn't, but I don't know that he said anything wrong. He said that I can't hit the ball. They have to hit the ball. When they asked about firing Buck Showalter, he's like, Buck's doing what he's always done. I mean, it's on them to play, which is true, but you can't, just a general statement, not every player. Not lackadaisical, but they're doing their own thing, right? So no matter how mad we get, they don't, care. You see them like they're shaking each other's hand. The Yankees and Red Sox, they don't hate each other as humans. Half the guys are buddies. We get more upset than they do. And no matter how upset we get, they're still going to go about it the same way that they always do, which doesn't look like there's any pep in anyone's step. Well, that's a whole league-wide thing. I would say that's a whole sports-wide thing right now.
Yeah, sports, yeah.
I'm going to throw another one at you, and John, jump in.
Yeah.
Harper yesterday hits a ball to the warning track, right? Yeah. He apparently thought in his mind it was going to be caught, right?
Yeah.
Well, the right fielder did not catch the ball. I don't know if he took his eyes off it, misplayed it, and there he is. He's just lollygagging to first base. The guy drops the ball, you know what I mean? And he should have been on second base. It turned out it didn't mean anything, but it was just a play that truly could have meant something. Am I right, John?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no, I mean, and he saw the frustration with him as well. He knew it, that he messed up. He either, like you said, thought the guy was going to catch it, or he thought it was a home run and, in a normal situation, and he just missed it. Cause it was high off the wall, and that's why the guy missed it out in right field. And, it was just
what you're never going to see again, John, either, is you're never going to see anybody yell at a superstar anymore. Like back not that long ago, you would have saw someone yell at an all-star. Bryce Harper's holier than thou. He's not going to get yelled at. Yeah,
I mean, I think though. I think you might see it in certain circumstances, but like Bryce knows he reacted at least anyway that he knew he messed up, and where back in the day Charlie Manuel benched Jimmy Rollins for basically doing the same thing, and Rollins just didn't he didn't really care that it was it was just the way he was, and so I think Harper showing remorse or anger that he messed up kind of squanders it, whether it's good or bad. But it shouldn't happen, and he knows that it shouldn't happen, and it's just one of those things where you get caught up too much watching the fly ball when you think you hit a home run or not, and obviously that wasn't a circumstance that he should have thought he hit the home run. If it just barely, it would have just made it into the first row if anything, or being caught. He should have.
Well, Joe Stinger's on page with us, John, because he's saying once Harper gets back in the field, his head will be back in the game. He won't have all this time sitting on the bench.
Yeah, not that it's an excuse for what he did yesterday. No,
none whatsoever,
but
because you need to hustle on every play.
Right.
You know what I mean? There's no excuse for lack of hustle.
Right. And we talked about it, last year him going to do it at DH, it was a new thing. So it was something cool. It was something to keep him on the field, because otherwise he really wouldn't have been playing. He would have been getting the Tommy John surgery last year and wouldn't have had the World Series push that we did. This year, sitting on the bench, it's like he knows he's going to be doing it pretty much all year. And then they're dangling the carrot out that, hey, you can play first base. That carrot, he wants to get to it yesterday instead of, a month from now.
Yeah.
That could be weighing on him as well, knowing that, him being on the bench hurt. DH is really hurting the team in the longevity of the team, because
there's a couple of moves that follow him getting back on the field that is going to help everybody. Get Schwarber off the field. You got a better left, hopefully a better left fielder. You know what I mean? Which
defensively anyway.
Yeah, might cover up some mistakes in center field, and la-di-da-di-da. There's a lot going on there.
Right. Well, yeah, man. A lot of things affected, by Bryce's injury right at the moment.
Some of these young guys too. The problem with first base, I'm sure Bryce would like to be back at first base. He gets back at first base. Some of these other guys might not see the light of day. I know Hoskins is pretty much out, but all these other guys playing first base, Derek Hall, Carlos De La Cruz, everyone can play first base. So they might not see the light of day for quite some time.
This is what we talked about. A couple minutes into the show, as far as there's a lot of minor league guys that are sitting in Double-A that should be moving up, and they're being blocked in Triple-A, and the Phillies. I guess it's a good problem to have, but they need to figure out what they're going to do. If they're going to make a couple of moves to strengthen the current major league squad. But the hour's getting away from us, and I don't want to lose Lauren for the whole night, because I know she wants to talk Sixer basketball. What are you hearing from your sources? Is Harden staying? Is he? What's going on? Give me your update.
Harden looked pretty cozy at Michael Rubin's white party over the weekend.
How did I know you were bringing that up? How did I know you were
bringing that up? How I get invited to that. Because, the best of the best are in attendance at that party. That looks like a dream. But anyways.
How much did that cost, first of all, that party?
Millions and millions of dollars.
Well,
Not that it matters, but it just...
Yeah, you've got Tom Brady there, you've got Joel Embiid there, you've got Kevin Hart there. So.
Well, supposedly they're reading champagne when they pull up in their car. They're getting champagne glasses handed to them right away, and shots.
And shots of tequila.
Yeah.
Well, the video that Kevin Hart posted was pretty funny. He was feeling good because he had a couple of questions. He had Crocs on that he didn't know where they came from. He had sunglasses on that he wasn't sure whose they were.
By the way, the party might have cost nothing in reality, because if you're one of these companies, you will just
you want to be in front of the best. You want to flaunt your services and your products to these big name people in hopes that for Joel Embiid's kid's birthday party, they hire you for balloons and centerpieces and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I don't know that he even pays a dime, to be honest. But
all right, so help me out. Why was everybody dressed in white?
So that's like an event thing more than anything. We've done, so there's like the Diamonds and Dreams dinner, which is for Baseball Town charities. They always do a white party. Everybody is just encouraged to wear white. It's basically just
a theme.
Yeah, it's a theme. It's the way everybody will look. It looks really nice in photos.
All right, everybody next Wednesday night's wearing white.
Well, you'll need to get white This Fans View T-shirts then.
You don't like white though.
I don't. I don't. I don't.
You know that it's a special party when they actually have IVs that you could take to get rid of your hangover.
Yeah. I also think that
That's when you know you're in another level of a party.
Yeah. It was in the Hamptons. I just want to know how I get invited to that. But anywho, he looked pretty cozy with his teammates still, so it didn't seem like if there was a departure coming, it wasn't apparent that night.
Sure.
He was cozy with Tobias Harris and Joel Embiid, and everything seemed good. But I will say there are so many mixed reports out there that you really don't know who to believe. One minute James Harden is gone, the next minute he's back. 1 minute no one is untouchable, the next minute Tyrese Maxey is untouchable. I mean,
can I tell you what I think? I think I don't know that he's necessarily going anywhere. I think he would like to go somewhere, but I don't know in reality if they're going to get what he thinks he's necessarily worth.
But unless he really goes to a true top contending team, if he goes back to Houston, he's not winning again. Yeah. Houston's not winning next year.
Right, but he might
So his option is to stay with the Sixers and have a better chance than going back to Houston or being traded to an actual contending team.
Maybe he does get to play with LeBron or one of these guys. You know, maybe that's why he's got like one chance left for a last contract, so maybe he does. But I don't know. I don't know that he's going to get what he thinks he's going to get for him.
Well,
I think he's going to go anywhere. I think he'll be back with the Sixers again. I mean, this offseason really hasn't shown much of anything. I'm not really happy that George Niang is gone.
Bang, bang.
I don't even know who they got for him.
Nobody. He signed. He left as a free agent.
Oh, he left as a free agent. Okay.
It's a little.
That's disappointing because we lost him. We could have re-signed him and we didn't. And now what? Now who do we?
He got a nice. He got. You know what? Good for him because he got a nice 3-year, $26 million contract. I'm happy for him.
And remind me where he went.
Cleveland.
That's right. I couldn't think.
They lost.
Shake Milton as well.
Shake Milton and what the guy that we traded Thibault for.
Yeah, Milton, Maxwell.
McDaniels.
I don't know why.
McDaniels to Brooklyn. Why? I have no idea. But guess what? You gave Thibault away.
Right.
Because McDaniels gave you nothing. I'm just curious to see, and I know we got all summer to figure this all out.
I don't really see anything happening. I don't think some crazy blockbuster trade is going to happen this year. I hear so many different things.
I don't personally think that any of these guys should be thought of as untouchable. I think you should do whatever you need to do to win.
But I love the idea of Maxey being untouchable.
I don't personally. I mean, I know everyone likes his hustle, and that's the kind of guy that people like in Philadelphia. But Maxey's not going to be like an 8-time All-Star. He's little. I know everyone wants him to be, but if you can get like a really, really good player straight up for him, I think they should be open to that. That's just my personal belief.
But he could be the start of a really, really, really good player. He's so young.
I think
if it's built around him more than it is, you'll see a lot more out of him.
Are you trading him straight up for Damian Lillard?
Yeah, like yesterday. Yeah, I am. He's Tyrese Maxey. He's not Michael Jordan. And you want to win the championship, you got to get
John. This falls right into what you say, and you preach to me every day about their prospects. You know, they're players that are undeveloped, and they mean nothing to the current squad. Does that apply here?
No, because Maxey only in the fact that Maxey is now taking that next step, past that. But a year or two ago, I mean that they had talked about that Maxey, would have been part of the deal if they got Lillard, 2 years ago. Before we know what he got. I don't know. I just you'd have to do it.
It's a tough pill to swallow because he's such a fan favorite, right?
Right. And he only got Lillard for a year. Because I think he's up at the end of next year, and you'd have to, re-sign him.
But they're trying to win right now is the problem. Like,
well, you're gonna have to re-sign. You're gonna have to sign Maxey as well. You know what I mean? So,
well, but at least Maxey, you can, because he's your own player, you could sign him, to more, money that way with the Larry Bird rule. But well, here's the question: is Lillard going to give you much more than Harden gave you?
I think so.
I
think so.
Well, Harden had a good year last year, except for at some points. I mean, I'm just saying, as far as propelling you to the next level, that it's not a guarantee that you get them. Is what I'm saying, that you're going to win.
I think you beat Boston with Lillard on your squad.
I think they need more consistency, and I think he brings a little bit more consistency. Not that he couldn't be, that you could have a bad night, but I think you need guys like that to win. They need something to be pushed over. He might not be the only thing you got to do, but I think he's a really good player, and it would stink to lose Maxey because he's a huge fan favorite. But
I mean, you probably do it, but I don't know, because then what you have left, because I don't think at that point Harden's going to be here. So now it's just going to be Embiid and Lillard. Tobias will probably be gone as well, type of thing. Because you might have to.
I guess the bigger question is: do you think that and I know we got to stop here in a second, but is the people in place, the management that you want in place to make it work? Because I know they got rid of Doc and things like that, but I'm not 100% convinced that they 100% know what they're doing.
That's a good question. I mean, I think the problem is it's hard to know if they know what they're doing, because you're kind of hamstrung with the contracts that you got. Is Embiid the guy to really build around? Long term, because
I think it's a little late to ask that question.
Yeah, I mean, because he could be Bobby Abreu, basically. A good player.
If he had the MVP year, is now the time to move him? I mean, you just had the MVP year. Is this the time to move him right now and get as many things as you possibly can? I mean, you're not going to have a better year than the MVP year that you had.
All right, thanks for coming, everybody.
I can't. What are you going to do? Take the whole team apart? If you're winning now, how are you getting rid of Embiid and Maxey? Who's going to carry the team? Tobias Harris?
Oh, yeah. He'll drain him.
No.
Well, Tobias does play better when those guys aren't around. So you may see that
here's my 2 cents, and it's worth absolutely nothing. I think the new coach, with pretty much the same guys, the same 5 or 6, are going to roll out there, and it's going to be a different system. It's kind of going to be like the Joe Girardi, Rob Thompson thing with the Phillies, right?
Well, if you got guys play on the bench more and let them feel like they're part of it, maybe they'll play a little harder. I don't know.
Maybe that's why George Niang is gone, and a couple of the other guys are going to be gone as well, because I don't think they're bringing your boy Forkmaz back. You know what I mean?
Unless this new coach can convince him he's going to get playing time, which is what he wants. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's why Milton left too, because he didn't get no playing time.
Yeah, he never saw him.
100%.
And Harden's not a nurse type of player. To spread the ball around, like you're saying, to get, Nurse wants to get everybody involved.
Yep.
Which is going to be a major. It's going to be interesting to see how it works out, because
John, I agree with what you're saying, and Harden tried to do that last year, but he was tired of giving the ball up to guys that couldn't make a shot.
Well,
you know what I mean? That ended up being a major problem, because the guys they either passed up the shot or couldn't make a shot. And that was the dagger that just about nailed us, and by the end of Game 6, I mean, Harden and Embiid both. I think I could have went out there and gave a better effort.
Well, yeah, but that also goes, comes back on those guys if they quit on the team.
Well, I don't know that they quit or they were just worn out because, they were running up and down the floor and they couldn't get the rest of the team to make a shot and help out.
Yeah, I don't know. It'd be interesting to say because Doc said that Embiid needs to be a better teammate as well.
Here's a closing thought. Summer League basketball. You've got your top coach coaching the team in Summer League basketball.
Yeah.
Unheard of. It just doesn't happen. And there's Nick with all these young guys that are probably majority of them are G League players, and there he is coaching them up in the Summer League.
Yeah, no, true.
So, a little different attitude, little different philosophies.
Well, I think
ours is still the same, though. Can't change that. We're still this fan's view.
Absolutely, but I think
100%.
he's also trying to figure out who can play and who can't down there as well.
I agree.
I agree. Just because you already lost three guys, and you're saying potentially Furkan and a couple more guys that could be missing.
Well, I think he's trying to develop the number one pick from last year, that Springer kid.
Right. Yeah.
So I don't know who else. He has his eyes on. We have our eyes on this fan's view next Wednesday at Hanrahan's Irish Pub.
Absolutely.
We're bringing a couple of baseball legends. Lauren's favorite baseball player of all time, Bobby Shantz, and one of his former teammates from the '64 Phillies, Bobby Wine.
Yeah.
So should be fun. We'll get some stories. Maybe a good Gene Mott story that we haven't heard.
We're sure they both get along. They're not two guys that don't dislike each other. But I don't think Bobby dislikes anyone. But
which Bobby?
Yeah.
It's Bobby Shantz. I don't think dislikes anyone. He seems like a nice.
All right. Here's the clarification that you need. Bobby Wine asked for Bobby Shantz's phone number so that he could go and pick him up.
Oh, there you go. That's nice.
So Bobby Wine is driving Bobby Shantz to the show.
Well, that's John.
They want to coordinate to come together. Whether who's driving, we don't know, but they want to come together.
So there you go.
Wow.
There you go.
That's cool.
Yep.
It might be another person driving, but
maybe they're going to hire Jason to bring them.
Maybe.
Mum's the word.
Yeah. So
Mum's the word. Thanks everybody for joining in. Ginny, you didn't go unnoticed about the white T-shirt.
Yeah.
We'll get sizes if that's an actual thing. We'll get sizes. Yeah, you're right, Sue. It'll never happen.
No whites.
Closing comments? Anything?
Come out and have a good time next week.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure.
You got 2 Gold Glovers, an MVP, a lot of baseball knowledge between the two of them. It's going to be a great night out. So come on out.
We need to get off of Wikipedia for the trivia questions so that Mike Schmidt doesn't have an edge.
Johnny, is that where you're finding on Wikipedia?
Well, no. I mean, it's stuff's on the internet, yeah, but it's not Wikipedia. But it's their baseball knowledge. I mean, it's. Yeah.
We're too nice. We're too lenient.
Well, because we had to. Because I had them stumped with the draft picks last with the hockey, and nobody was answering. So we got to get them more interactive to be able to get it an answer easily. They studied too much about it, so now we got 2 people they got to study on. So we'll see what happens.
All right, guys, have a great rest of your night. Have a great rest of the week. Stay hydrated. Stay cool. It's going to be a hot one.
Oh, yeah. That's for sure.
All right. Thank you, everybody, and we'll see you hopefully next week.
Yes.
Take care.